who this is for, but somebody walked in here today with a heavy heart. You smiled in public, but your soul has been bruised in private. You've been disrespected, dismissed, underestimated, and the enemy thought he had the last word. But I came to tell you, stay quiet. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to explain yourself to everybody who misunderstands you. You don't have to stoop to the level of those who tried to tear you down, because God will lift you up while they're still watching. Sometimes the greatest strength is in your silence. Sometimes the greatest clapback is no clapback at all. The devil wants your reaction, but God wants your obedience. So if you've ever sat in your car with tears in your eyes saying, Lord, I could say so much right now, but I'm trying to hold my peace, then this message is for you. Because when you stay quiet after disrespect, you make room for God to speak louder than you ever could, Doc. You see, the world we live in has tried to convince us that loud means strong. That noise means power. That if you don't say something, if you don't snap back, if you don't retaliate, you're weak. But let me tell you something today, silence, when it comes from a place of discipline, wisdom, and faith, is one of the strongest positions you can take. It takes real strength to stay quiet after disrespect. Because let's be honest, disrespect cuts deep. It's not always the words that hurt the most. Sometimes it's the tone. Sometimes it's the dismissal. Sometimes it's how they looked at you like you didn't belong, like your presence didn't carry weight, like your voice didn't matter. And something in you rises up. That old version of you, the one you worked so hard to outgrow, starts knocking on your door saying, just let me say one thing. But you know what it took to get where you are. You know how many prayers you prayed to find peace. You know how many nights you cried, begging God to help you respond differently than you used to. And it's in that moment right there where the battle isn't between you and them. It's between who you were and who you're becoming. The real fight ain't even about the disrespect. The real fight is about your destiny. Because the enemy doesn't attack what's not valuable. He sends disrespect your way to distract you, to dethrone you, to get you to step out of your character and throw away your crown just to prove a point. But when you stay quiet, you're saying, my peace is more important than your provocation. My purpose is bigger than this petty moment. And staying quiet don't mean you're not aware. Staying quiet don't mean you didn't catch it. Staying quiet don't mean you didn't feel the sting. It means I saw it, I felt it, but I rose above it. Because I serve a God who fights for me. I don't have to match their tone. I don't have to lower my standard. I don't have to play in the mud just because they live in it. See, when you stay quiet after disrespect, you confuse the enemy. He expected you to curse. He expected you to lash out. He expected you to lose your testimony just to win an argument. But when you stand there with grace, when you walk away with dignity, when you say nothing and still maintain your power, that's when heaven starts moving on your behalf. That's when God starts fighting in rooms you haven't even walked into yet. Because he saw you hold your tongue. He saw you bite back the words. He saw you choose wisdom over impulse. And he says, that's someone I can trust with more. We think silence is passive. But silence can be powerful. Silence can be holy. Silence can be a weapon. There are some victories you don't win with your mouth, you win them with your maturity. Some wars don't require you to raise your voice, they require you to raise your standards. Let me tell you something, when Jesus stood before Pilate being mocked, lied on, accused, spat on, he didn't defend himself. He didn't clap back. He could have, but he didn't. Because he knew the cross was waiting. He knew destiny was calling. And he wasn't about to jeopardize the resurrection just to settle a score in the courtroom. You've got a cross to carry. You've got a purpose to fulfill. And there are some fights you've got to walk away from because they're too small for your calling. I know it's hard. I know it burns in your chest to stay silent when your name is being dragged, when your value is being questioned, when your loyalty is being taken for granted. But every time you stay quiet, you're saying, I trust God to vindicate me. I trust God to lift me. I trust that I don't need to lower myself to be seen. Because when it's your time, no disrespect can block your promotion. No lie can cancel your anointing. No betrayal can stop what God has for you. Let them say what they want. Let them do what they do. You don't have to respond. You don't have to fix the narrative. You don't have to prove your worths. Stay quiet. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Because when you choose silence in the face of disrespect, heaven hears it as worship. And God will reward you for what you didn't say. Let them talk. Let God move. We've been taught to react. It's human nature. Somebody says something slick, you feel the fire rise up in your chest. Somebody crosses the line and your instincts tell you to clap back, to match energy, to make them feel what you felt. But just because it's natural doesn't mean it's spiritual. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's wise. And if we're ever going to grow into the people we've been praying to become, we've got to stop reacting and start responding. A reaction is immediate. It comes from emotion. It comes from pain, pride, frustration, and sometimes even fear. But a response takes pause. A response takes maturity. It takes this, as I heard you, but I'm not about to lose me trying to correct you. You've got to know who you are well enough that other people's chaos doesn't pull you out of character. Just because somebody disrespects you doesn't mean you owe them your peace. People will try to pull you into their storm just to watch you drown, but don't fall for it. That's the trap. The enemy doesn't just want to hurt your feelings, he wants to steal your focus. If he can keep you reacting, he can keep you distracted. If he can keep you chasing petty arguments and proving little points, he can keep you from walking in the full authority of your purpose. You've got to learn how to sit in your stillness and let the Spirit lead. Because not every action deserves your reaction. Some things are designed to poke at the part of you you've been healing. Some situations come to test whether you're really free or just pretending. Are you really changed, or are you just quiet until something triggers you? That's where the real growth shows up, not when everything's peaceful, but when the disrespect comes and you still choose restraint. And I'm not talking about being passive. I'm talking about being powerful enough to respond with purpose. See, the enemy wants to reduce you. He wants to pull you into a version of yourself that doesn't reflect who you've become. But when you respond with wisdom, instead of reacting with emotion, you disarm the very weapon he formed against you. That weapon might have been formed, but it won't prosper when you walk in discernment. When Jesus was in the wilderness, the enemy came with temptation, and he didn't react in anger. He responded with the word. That's a model for us. You don't fight foolishness with more foolishness. You don't meet fire with more fire, you overcome it with truth. Some of why all are trying to fight spiritual battles with emotional weapons. And you're wondering why you're tired, frustrated, drained. It's because you keep reacting when you should be listening. You keep speaking when you should be praying. You keep confronting when you should be releasing. It takes strength to pause. It takes humility to not prove a point. It takes wisdom to look someone in the face, know what you could say, and still choose peace. That's not weakness, that's victory. That's evidence of the Spirit of God working in you. And when you respond rather than react, you give God space to step in. You open the door for divine intervention. You say, Lord, I don't need to defend myself. You've got me covered. See, what the enemy didn't count on is that you've grown. You don't argue like you used to. You don't swing wild like you used to. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, you don't waste time proving it to people who've already made up their minds. Let them underestimate you. Let them misread you. Let them think your silence is surrender. They'll learn. I came to tell somebody you don't owe everybody a response. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Some doors don't need to be opened. Some comments don't deserve a reply. Some situations are beneath your anointing. And if you keep trying to prove yourself in every room, you'll end up losing yourself in the process. So the next time you feel disrespected, ask yourself, is this moment worth my peace? Is this person worth my energy? Will this matter a year from now? Or am I just reacting because it touched a tender place in me? Because sometimes the real issue isn't what they said, it's what's still healing inside of you. And that's where you need to take it to God. That's where the Holy Spirit becomes your counselor and your comforter. That's where you say, Lord, help me not to react in my flesh. Help me respond with wisdom. You've got too much oil on your life to waste it putting out every fire. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away, not because you're scared, but because you're strong enough to choose peace over pride. Stay calm. Stay wise. Stay covered. There comes a time in your life when you've got to ask yourself a real question, is this worth my peace? Is going back and forth, is trying to prove a point, is trying to correct every false version of your name. Is it worth the toll it takes on your spirit? Because peace is expensive. You don't just wake up with it. You have to fight for it. You have to protect it. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life giving it away to people in situations that don't even deserve it. Some of us are tired, not because we're busy, but because we've been trading our peace for validation. We've been trying to prove to people who left us, who hurt us, who never saw us clearly that we are worthy, that we are loyal, that we are strong. And in trying to prove it, we've let them pull us out of alignment with God, out of alignment with purpose, out of alignment with peace. But let me tell you something, your peace is more powerful than their opinion. You don't need everybody to understand you. You don't need everybody to like you. You don't need to go back and forth trying to fix what was never yours to carry. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them misunderstand. Your peace is too precious to be tossed around in conversations that lead nowhere. Sometimes the battle isn't between right and wrong, it's between what's right and what's wise. You may be right, you may have every reason to defend yourself, to speak up, to retaliate, but is it wise? Is it worth what it's going to cost you internally? Because you can win the argument and still lose your peace. You can win the fight and still feel empty afterward. You can be right and still be wrong in how you handled it. There's a weight to peace, a weight that only comes when you know how to stand in truth without having to prove it. When you know how to walk away from noise without needing applause for doing it. When you know that your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. And wisdom will always protect your peace better than a reaction ever will. The enemy knows your triggers. He knows what to use, who to use, when to use it. And if you're not mindful, you'll find yourself in a cycle always reacting, always defending, always drained. Not because you're not strong, but because your peace isn't protected. You've got to get to a place in your walk where peace becomes your boundary, where anything that costs you your peace is too expensive. That means you won't always be able to respond. You won't always be able to clear your name. You won't always get the apology, but you will have your peace. And that's enough. It's not that you don't have something to say. It's not that you didn't catch the shade. It's that you value your sanity more than you value being seen. It's that you've learned how to rest in God's vindication instead of stressing over man's validation. It's that you've matured to the place where your response isn't based on how they treat you, but how you've been trained by the Spirit. Let me help somebody today. Peace is not passive. Peace is not soft. Peace is a decision. It is a discipline. And sometimes it takes everything in you to keep it. You'll have to walk away when your flesh says stay. You'll have to stay silent when your pride says speak. You'll have to let it go when your ego says prove it. And every time you choose peace, heaven backs you. Every time you choose peace, God honors you. Every time you choose peace, you grow. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your soul to give away pieces of it to people who didn't handle the last piece well. It means you know the cost of letting things disturb your spirit. It means you've worked too hard to heal, to let somebody drag you back into a version of yourself that no longer fits. And listen, peace doesn't always mean quiet. It doesn't mean people stop coming for you. It doesn't mean disrespect disappears. It means that inside you are unshaken, that your joy is intact, that your identity is not based on how others treat you, that you're rooted in something deeper than people's opinions, that even in the middle of mess, you've got a calm in your spirit that can't be explained. That's the peace that passes understanding. That's the peace the world didn't give you and the world can't take away. So when disrespect shows up, and it will ask yourself, is this worth my peace? And if the answer is no, let it go. Walk away, stay quiet. Because nothing is worth losing the calm that God placed inside you. That's how you keep your oil. That's how you guard your heart. That's how you stay free. Protect your peace, because peace is power. Doc, there's a promise that says, he prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And that's not just poetry, that's strategy. That's heaven's way of telling you, you don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to chase down every rumor. You don't have to prove your worth to people who were never assigned to your destiny in the first place. Because God is the one who prepares the table. And when he sets it, you don't need to say a word, just take your seat. See, we spend so much energy trying to defend ourselves, trying to correct what they said, trying to clean up what they misunderstood. But you're not the host of the table, God is. And if he's the host, then you don't need to bring the plates, the napkins, or the justice. Your job is to show up clothed in character, raped in grace, seated in peace, while your enemies watch the favor of God rise over your life like the sun breaking through darkness. You've got to stop worrying about the ones who walked away. Stop stressing over the ones who overlooked you. Stop begging for closure from people who were never qualified to carry your calling. Because when God prepares a table, he doesn't consult your enemies to see if you're worthy of it. He doesn't ask them for permission. He doesn't check in with your past. He doesn't need their approval to elevate you. And let me tell you something, it's not just any table. It's not a rush table. It's not a table full of crumbs or leftovers. When God sets a table, he does it with excellence. He does it with intention. He puts peace where pain used to sit. He lays healing where heartbreak once lived. He places provision where lack tried to take over. He fills the cup that they tried to drain. And he does it all right in front of the very ones who thought you wouldn't make it. But here's the part we don't always talk about. The verse says, in the presence of my enemies. That means they're not going away. That means sometimes God won't remove your enemies. He'll feed you in front of them. He'll bless you while they watch. He'll promote you while they whisper. He'll elevate you in the middle of the same mess that tried to bury you. That's how God works. Not to embarrass them, but to show the world that his hand is on your life. And you've got to trust him enough to let him do it his way. Because we want the table, but we don't want the weight. We want the elevation, but we want to explain ourselves first. But listen, you don't need to force the timing of your blessing. You don't need to manufacture a moment to make yourself feel validated. If God is preparing it, you better believe he's also timing it. He knows exactly when to bring you into the room. He knows exactly when to shift the season. He knows exactly when the light hits just right so your story won't just be seen, it'll mean something. So while they're plotting, you stay planted. While they're lying, you stay locked in. While they're gossiping, you keep growing. Because their noise can't cancel what God has already written. And the best part is when the table is ready, you won't have to say a thing. You won't have to announce it. You won't have to defend yourself. You won't even have to tell your side of the story. The table will speak for itself. Let them say what they want. Let them misunderstand your silence. Let them question your journey. Because God is not preparing the table in private. He's preparing it in public. That means the same people who disrespected you are going to have to watch you be restored. The same people who thought you were done are going to have to witness your next chapter. And the beautiful thing is, you don't even have to clap back. You just sit. You just rest. You just walk in the room with your peace intact and your head held high, knowing that the one who prepares the table also fights the battle. And hear me, this isn't about revenge. This is about redemption. This is about God showing his glory through your story. Because when they see you seated at the table, they won't just see you, they'll see the grace that carried you, the mercy that kept you, the strength that held you together when everything around you was falling apart. So stop trying to fix it. Stop trying to fight back. Stop trying to get even. And let God set the table. Let him handle the arrangement. Let him decide the guest list. Let him determine the moment. Because when it's your time, nothing and no one can stop what he's already put in motion. Let God handle the table and you just keep showing up in peace. There's a moment in life, if you live long enough, when you realize that your greatest battles aren't always with people. They're with you. With your emotions, with your impulses, with the part of you that wants to get the last word, the final say, the closing clapback. And it's in those moments when disrespect rises up to test your patience and poke your pride that you've got to make a decision. Do I answer them or do I answer God? Because silence isn't always about shutting your mouth. Sometimes it's about training your spirit. It's about letting your discipline speak louder than your words. It's about knowing that the battle is not always in the open, it's internal. It's personal. It's spiritual. You may look calm on the outside, but there's a war going on inside your mind, and your silence is how you win. Staying quiet after disrespect doesn't mean you didn't notice it. It doesn't mean you didn't feel it. It means you've learned how to conquer the urge to react. You've learned that not every fire is yours to fight. That your purpose can't afford to keep paying the price for your pride. And pride is expensive. It will have you burning bridges you still need. It will have you planting seeds of bitterness in soil that God wanted to bless. Sometimes the test isn't in the moment they disrespected you. It's in the moment after, when you're left alone with your thoughts, when your heart is racing and your fingers are itching to text something reckless, when your mouth is full of words that want to come out and prove a point. That's where the battle is won, not in what happens to you, but in how you handle what happens. And if the enemy can't destroy you with what they did to you, he'll try to destroy you with how you respond to it. If he can't kill your future, he'll try to make you kill your character. He'll try to drag you out of position by tempting you to speak too soon, react too fast, move too rashly. But you've got to learn how to stay seated when the enemy's trying to make you stand up and act out of order. You've got to learn how to rule your own spirit, because that's real power. Scripture says that the one who can control his spirit is mightier than the one who takes a city. That means God values your self-control more than your status. He values your restraint more than your reputation. He's not watching just what they said. He's watching what you do next. Because that's where your maturity shows. That's where your elevation is unlocked. And I know it's not easy. Some of you are dealing with people who don't even know the weight of what they did. They threw words like knives and kept walking while you've been left trying to pull them out and stop the bleeding. Some of you were disrespected in front of people who should have stood up for you, and they stayed silent. And now you're trying to carry peace in a heart full of unanswered pain. But let me tell you, you can carry pain and still choose peace. You can feel the sting and still stay silent. That's what strength looks like. It's not about pretending it didn't happen. It's about not letting what happened have the final say. It's about knowing that God sees, God knows, and God will handle what you don't. That's why your silence matters, because it's your declaration of trust. It says, God, I don't mean to control this moment because I trust you're controlling the outcome. And when you live like that, you won't need to vindicate yourself. God will do it. You won't need to clear your name. Time and truth will do it. You won't need to lower your standard. Grace will raise you higher than your ego ever could. Because staying quiet isn't about weakness, it's about wisdom. It's about elevation. It's about leaving room for God to speak louder than you ever could. Some of the loudest things you'll ever say in life won't come from your mouth, they'll come from your actions. From how you carried yourself. From what you didn't say. From how you walked away instead of walking into another pointless war. That's when people look at you and realize there's something different about them. They didn't respond like they used to. They didn't give it like they could have. And that's where the growth shows. That's where the oil flows. So don't waste your words on people who already made up their minds about you. Don't trade your crown for the comfort of being right in the moment. Don't let their disrespect pull you into a war that was never meant to be yours to fight. The battle belongs to the Lord. Stay silent. Stay submitted. Stay strong. There comes a time when you've got to realize not every response is for the person who disrespected you. Sometimes it's for the witnesses, the people watching your life, the ones watching how you carry what hurt you, the ones who see the blow but are waiting to see the behavior that follows. Because how you handle disrespect speaks volumes, not just about where you've been, but about where you're going. And here's what I've learned: your silence isn't just for you. It's for the generations behind you. It's for the children who are learning how to navigate conflict. It's for the co-workers who know you serve God, but wonder how real that relationship is when pressure hits. It's for the ones who've seen church but never seen Christ. Because some people will never read a Bible, but they'll read you. They'll study how you respond to storms. They'll watch how you behave when people cross the line. And that moment of disrespect might just be the stage God allowed for you to show them something different. It's easy to shout about grace when everything's going your way. But can you walk in grace when you're disrespected? Can you hold your tongue when your name is being dragged through conversations you never even entered? Can you stay grounded when the enemy is pushing every button you've got? Because it's in those moments that your witness is either strengthened or shattered. That's when people see whether your faith is just words or if it's woven into how you live. Sometimes God will allow the disrespect not because he wants to embarrass you, but because he wants to elevate you. But elevation doesn't come without examination. He's watching your posture. He's watching your restraint. He's watching to see if you're ready for more, not just more influence, but more responsibility. Because the higher you go, the less you can afford to be reactive. The higher you go, the more intentional you must become. You want to be trusted with power. Show you can be trusted with silence. Show you can be trusted to stay still when chaos surrounds you. Show you can be trusted to represent the kingdom. Not your ego. Because God isn't just blessing you for you, he's blessing you to be a reflection, a testimony, a mirror of what grace under pressure looks like. There are eyes on you. And no, it's not fair. No, it's not always easy, but it is necessary because somebody's breakthrough might be connected to your behavior. Somebody's healing might be tied to how you carry yourself through what hurt you. Somebody's deliverance might start the moment they see how you forgave someone who never apologized. You don't know who's watching you navigate your wilderness. You don't know who's watching you endure your job season. And the way you carry it, how you refuse to curse God, how you refuse to retaliate, how you still worship through the tears that might be what leads somebody else to say, if they can hold on like that, maybe I can too. Let your silence be a sermon. Let your peace preach. Let your self-control speak louder than the insult ever did. You don't always need to be vocal to be visible. You don't always need to fight to be powerful. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is endure without explaining. Because trust me, God sees. He sees the conversations they thought were private. He sees the shots they took when your back was turned. He sees the lies they told to protect their image while damaging yours. And if you think God is going to let that go unchecked, you don't know the God I serve. But here's the key: you're not called to check it. That's his job. Your job is to reflect him while he handles them, and in due time he will. In due time he will vindicate. In due time he will reveal. In due time he will show that your silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. It was you saying, God, I trust you to finish this better than I could. And when he does, it won't just be a win for you. It'll be a witness to everyone who watched you wait. So don't let your emotions wreck your example. Don't let temporary disrespect rob you of eternal impact. Don't let small minds pull you out of your divine assignment. You are bigger than that. You are stronger than that. And what God is doing through you is worth more than a moment of retaliation. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them think your silence is weakness. Because when God moves, everyone watching will know exactly why you stayed quiet. Walk with your head high, your heart clean, and your witness intact.